In today's world, or at Unity, we're a game engine. So we talk to a lot of developers just like yourselves. And we get a lot of feedback on some of the challenges that you run into as a game developer in today's world. And you hear about how do you retain your users in your game? How do I make enough content to make sure that my players are actually staying in my game? But the one big thing that we hear most from all of you is that this notion that in order to have a successful developer, or to be a successful developer, you have to sacrifice your player experience to run your business. And I'm really excited to talk today about how you no longer have to do that anymore. And that Unity is working on a new product that allows you to balance the player experience while running a successful business. And we do that through personalization. If you look at any of the digital landscape or any of the digital companies out there today, every single aspect of it is personalized. So when you go into Netflix, it shows you the TV shows and the movies that are most relevant to you on that day. When you go onto Spotify, it curates a list of playlists along with the exact songs that you're most interested in. And so we kind of ask that question of, why can't you do the same thing in gaming? Because in gaming, the most important number to optimize towards is 1. Every single one of your players has a unique set of skills, is interested in a unique set of content, and likes a certain difficulty or type of game. And so we wanted to actually create a solution that actually allowed you to do the exact same thing in games. And so that product is called Personalized Placements. Personalized Placements allows you to look at what content best works for your players and then surface that content at the right place at the right time. So how does that actually work in real life? So I don't know if you know this, but Maxine is actually a really avid strategy game player. And she really excels at creating really large armies, buying the strongest units, and creating fortresses that are just massive and impossible to destroy. I, on the other hand, would be considered a little bit more of a casual gamer. And my favorite game right now is Kim Kardashian's Hollywood. And so my favorite thing to do is I don't really spend a lot of money in the game. I mostly just play the game, try and get the best outfits and cars and things like that. But ultimately, when we both enter a new game, we should really receive a completely different experience because of those two different preferences that we just have. So when Maxine enters a game for the first time, she should be steered towards what are the starter packs, what are the big units that she should be buying through in-app promotions or in-app purchase promotions. And then she should also be given tips or notices on what are kind of the new features so that she can maximize how strong or how powerful she is in the game. I, on the other hand, shouldn't really receive that message. I need a little bit more of a guided entry experience so that whenever I join the game, I'm guided towards how to actually play. And then in addition to that, I'm not really going to make that purchase, and so I should really receive mostly ads. So how does this actually work behind the scenes? What's actually happening here? So traditionally speaking, in a waterfall or an auction, you have the top level, which is a CPM auction. The highest price wins. You show the ad that wins. You don't really pay attention to whether the ad worked for the user, whether it worked for users similar, whether the content was pleasing or not. The highest price wins. And then eventually, the user would actually potentially leave the game. In an LTV auction, we look at all the available choices and evaluate those choices based on their impact to the lifetime value of the user. And so in the first example, you can see that we're comparing a relevant ad or an ad with an IP promo. And we decide that this ad would work best for this user. And so we decide to show an ad to that user. In the second case, we may notice that with other games or with other players, at this point in the game, really doesn't appeal to users to actually show any form of content other than the game itself. Maybe it's a challenging level, for example. And so we actually don't show any form of an ad at that moment. And in the last instance, because we've made these choices to curate to the player's preferences, we've kept them in the game longer, we've retained them as a user, and they're more engaged with the content. And so we get an extra opportunity to actually show them something special. And so in this case, we predict that the best thing to show them would be a promotion because we believe that we can actually convert them to become a payer. So how do these two auctions differ inside of the auction? So in the traditional waterfall method, you have demand on the left, and they all bid into an auction with their highest price. In this instance, the highest price wins. So you can see that the performance ad paid the most, they get to show the ad to the user. In the second, or LTV auction, we add multiple content into this auction. So we're looking at an IIP promotion, and we're looking at ads as well. And so all of these demand partners bid into the auction just like they did. All right. And we put them through our machine learning algorithms to actually evaluate how will each option impact the lifetime value of the user. And so you can see that in this example, the LTV score or LTV valuation of the promo, even though it didn't pay the highest price, is actually what we end up showing to the user because we feel it have the most beneficial impact to that player. So you can see that this is no longer about just optimizing towards short-term revenue, but it's actually about delivering each and every player the most meaningful experience at a cohort of one. So why should you use Unity's solution over anything else that is out there today? Or why can't you build this in-house? So building it in-house is a very valid solution, but what we often see, though, is that what you will eventually run into is what we refer to as the cold start problem. If you can't see how a player reacts or acts in other games, you have to waste valuable time to understand their preferences before you can make intelligent decisions around what to or how to show content to them in your game. In the second example, there are a lot of segmentation options out there in the market today. But then you're still bucketizing users into similar-like users, and you're not optimizing towards a cohort of one. And also, because you're running a CPM auction, if someone's paying a high price for just to serve an ad, they'll disrupt the experience that you're trying to curate for that user because you're not running an LTV auction. And then lastly, we're the only solution in the market that offers a full stack IIP promotion solution with ads in one place, built for gamers. So what's available today? So today we offer LTV optimization between ads and IIP promotions to maximize which of those two options would actually produce the highest LTV impact. And my friend Steven here is going to walk us through a deep dive of both of those and how you can set up personalized placements.
Thank you, David. I'm going to now run through the product details, starting out with ads. Ads has been the sort of bread and butter of the Unity monetization stack over the past few years. With the release of Unity Monetization SDK 3.0, we now offer rewarded ads, interstitial ads, display ads, AR ads, banner ads, and interactive ads, all in one simple package. We have one of the largest rewarded video networks in the industry. And according to Mary Meeker's report, rewarded video is the ad unit of choice for developers. This is because you have the opportunity to build a feature that not only monetizes, but also has the potential to increase engagement in your game. We did a developer survey, and 39% of respondents told us that when they put rewarded ads in their game, they saw retention increases. Further, almost 80% of individual users have said that they've interacted with rewarded ads in the recent past. Let's go through a case study. We partnered with Yukon Games in the game Jeopardy. Yukon had a challenge. Their current ad solution had difficulty with how effective it was. It had difficulty with the transparency of what was happening in their ad networks. And then finally, there are stability problems because there's multiple SDKs within their solution. We've all had to deal with the multiple SDK problem in the past. So what we did is we sat down with them, talked about some of the best practices for putting rewarded video in their games. The example here is a out-of-currency prompt, right? It's one of the perfect times to ask somebody if they want to pay right when they run out of money. Of course, that's obvious. The important feature is to give players a choice at that moment over whether they want to go to this store and pay with real money to buy premium currency, or if they would like to watch a rewarded ad. When you can put this into the Jeopardy game, they saw a 15% increase in sessions because people were able to continue to make progress. They saw a 7% lift in retentions. And most importantly, when paired with rewarded video, they experienced no cannibalization of their IPs. So this is a total revenue win. So that's ads, available in Unity SDK, Monetization SDK 3.0. Next, let's dig into promo. Also available in Monetization SDK 3.0. So promo was launched earlier this year, and it's the latest addition to our monetization suite. And we were setting out to solve a few different problems. In the real world, marketers don't wait for somebody to come into their store before trying to teach somebody about their product or telling them what's for sale. Your virtual economies are no different. By using promotions, it's like advertising. You're giving people the ability to make a purchase or learn about what they can purchase in the normal game flow they have. This isn't the easiest thing to do, however, because as a developer, your time is limited. So many developers have no mechanism to surface IP promos because it takes time to build the feature. Most developers are left in a state where people have to go into the store, discover what IP is and what they need to purchase. And then finally, when promos are put in games, they're not optimized per player. Everybody tends to see the same IP promo. The current state of the industry is most game developers are hard coding these promos into their client. And these promos are very valuable. You might have something like a starter pack, a targeted discount, something seasonal. We've seen that they add 10, 20% revenue to your game. So when we set out to build a solution, we built an entirely server-driven product. So when you update your promos, you don't have to update your game. You can upload the promos using our Operate dashboard. You can monitor their results, see the conversions, and then change them over time to make them more effective. This last thing that we did is we brought the Unity data advantage. Unity's vast network understands the differences between your players, the differences between devices and player behavior. You might end up with a situation where you want to target a different offer on an iPhone than on an Android phone. Normally, to find this out as a developer, you'd have to run dozens of A/B tests to find out all the segments that you need to target. What our system does is it uses machine learning to factor in all the different variables that an individual player and an individual device has and picks the right one for that player at that time. Let's go through another case study. Here's My Gym by Tatum Games. So you might be getting ripped in the gym and hit a level up. Well, this is a great time to show an offer, right? You might know that after I level up, I need to go buy some more protein shakes, because that's what I do every day. So by showing the offer at the right time, what My Gym saw was a 24% increase in revenue from IPs and an 8% increase in transactions per payer. That's because what you're trying to do with IIP promo is increase three things. The first is overall lifetime revenue. The second is the amount of non-payers that you're converting to payers. And lastly, you're converting the amount of times each payer pays in your game. Our system optimizes towards all three. The next feature that we're launching in beta is a rewarded IAP promo. This goes in your rewarded placement. So we figured at the moment that somebody might want to watch a video to see a reward. They might want to see the last chance for a certain special offer that they would get to monetize. So through personalized placements, we've mixed a rewarded video experience with a rewarded promotion experience. And we're seeing promising results with that beta test as well. So the mechanics of personalized placements is this. I talked about our extensive ad systems. I talked about our promotion systems. And David talked about some of the logic of how they're combined. But simply, using the data from the player in your game and the data that Unity has on a whole, we make a decision every time we have an opportunity to show an ad or promotion in your game. What is the right thing to do for the user at the right time? Through our beta, we've seen fantastic results. Regardless of the type of game, casual, arcade, racing, hardcore, over the last 3 months, we've seen LTV lift in all of them. On average, we've seen 20% lift when you add these mechanics to your game. This is all available in Unity Monetization SDK 3.0. It includes all the ad types I discussed earlier, includes promo, server-side control, and the ability to maximize the value of your users and maximize the value of your game for your business. So please join us today for product discussions at 3 p.m. They'll be in Platinum 1. And right now, we're going to open up the floor for any questions anybody has. If you have a question, please walk to one of the mics over here so everybody can hear you. Thank you very much.
Does this work only with Unity ads, or I can use Iron Source to have any kind of ad placement or ad mob, any other ads?
Currently, the solution works exclusively with Unity ads and our unified auction backend.
OK, so I do have to just use Unity ads if I want to do this.
Yeah, so let's talk after this discussion about how you'd be able to implement that, and we can get more into the details. Thanks.
Good morning. Can you talk a little bit about, I thought on an earlier slide you had mentioned cross-promo, so using the same exact system to push customers to other products in our suite. And then the follow-up to that is if you could talk about, we would also like to do the same thing to encourage players to try out new features, even if they're not specifically for IAP or for purchase. Maybe there's a feature that's underutilized that we might like to say, you know what, instead of showing an ad, how about we just give them an ad that's about a feature that's for free that's in the app that maybe they don't know about, like a daily event or daily challenges or something, whether it's competitive or cooperative. So those two questions, the cross-promo and then feature-based.
Yeah, so those are both things that we're considering currently on our roadmap. I'd like to specifically talk about the second one. It's a feature they'll be launching in the next quarter or so. We're referring to that as like a sync promo or a feature promo that increases people's engagement in their game.
So can you talk about the cross-promo one also?
Yeah, so cross-promo right now, we don't have a timeline to announce on that, but it's a feature we're considering. Thanks.
Hi. First, thank you very much. That was very informative. I have a whole bunch of questions, but I'll do the top.
Well, we have
top
product
one.
Discussions today.
There's
so
no one. There's no one else
question.
at the mic, so I guess I'm in good shape. What kind of information are you keeping? Is it per device? Is that how it works? Like, how are you doing the personalization? What kind of information?
Yeah.
Are you keeping?
You want to take this?
Yeah, yeah. So we look at a variety of factors. So we look at who's the advertiser, what type of ad it is, the price. We look at the device. And then we also just look at historical performance of that ad across the network, generalized for all.
I'm sorry, I meant more on the other side. Like, do you have an individual, like a user, a
user profile?
Yeah, like how do you identify a user across games?
So we do have a user profile that we have on each user, and then that's what we use to actually choose which one would work best for each.
And that's by device?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And one of the most important things that we do there is we use machine learning, right? So it's not necessarily always the user profile that drives decisions, but what we know about those types of users or those types of devices. And there's a model that factors all those different variables in to come out with a prediction of what's the best thing to do for a user at any given time. And as we test those predictions, we compare them with the results and then evolve the model over time. This is why you need a massive data set of something like the Unity network in order to do it effectively.
And can you talk at all about what kind of dimensions you're categorizing individuals?
I think maybe probably best after
okay.
3 p.m., but
Good.
There's a decent list we can walk you through.
Okay, that sounds really cool, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for your question.
Yeah, great question.
Over here.
I guess my question is kind of on the similar lines, so maybe we'll talk then as well. But for each game individually, there's going to be a lot of different inputs to that model that are specific to its game in terms of determining like optimal LTV. So do you guys have some sort of like recommended analytics data that you guys are polling in order to put in these models, and like for each game specifically, or I don't know?
Yeah, were you a plant? That's great. Yes, with SDK 3.0, we've added a set of standard events, which we think are the most important events to optimize towards an individual game. This includes things like what a person is buying in the game from a virtual item standpoint, what they're spending in the game, as well as when they level up. This will extend over time, but we identified these 5 or 6 events as the most important for now. And they're available in the SDK today.
Great, perfect, thanks.
Thanks.
Hey there. So I wanted to ask if you can talk briefly about the monetization SDK, if it's related to AR ads, augmented reality ads.
You want to hit that?
Yeah. So the new SDK does have AR ads baked into it. So you can sign or talk with us to get access. We can help you, set that up with your game. So it's as the full suite or full package includes both personalized placements, AR ads, banner ads, et cetera, like we were mentioning.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. I was wondering, with the SDK and the different personalization options that you guys are using, how is this working with GDPR? Are you saving a lot of this data to taking it from the user's device? I mean, do they have to agree to give their data over to you? Are you not really using it in Europe right now?
Yeah, no. So I think the big benefit of using one platform for that is that we are GDPR compliant. And so you don't have to make sure that all the different partners that you're working with are aligned with the GDPR rules and regulations. And so short answer is that yes, we are GDPR compliant for all of the data, only keeping it for 30 days, et cetera.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Question. Can you guys talk about the accuracy numbers that you've seen in your LTV predictions in terms of what the model's outputting, I guess? In terms of, how? Like test cases that you guys have seen or used, like obviously when you're modeling these predictions of this is the optimal choice for at this moment to maximize LTV, like your LTV predictions, what was the accuracy that you saw after like maybe 3 months of that? I guess that's my question. Yeah. So what we do today is we actually focus on the engagement with the ads, and so we look at summing up
all of the win prices for all of the different auctions, and we have an A/B test where we compare if we didn't do anything versus if we did do something, so we can compare in real time how they're performing. So that's how we get the 20% lift. In terms of the accuracy, it's mostly related to how our machine learning team runs the model through their offline tests, and then they basically use that to predict or see how well accurate it was in real life.
Can we extend the model at all, or is it very much contained in terms of your guys' SDK?
What do you mean by extend the model?
Like add additional inputs, perhaps?
Yeah, definitely. So we built it so that over time we would be able to identify and add in new standard events like Steven was touching on, any other events that we think are necessary or important to drive up performance. And the really cool thing about it is that over time, every day, we're coming up with new ways to both tweak the model and how it's designed and how it frames the problem, as well as the inputs that we're putting into the model.
Is the client able to modify those inputs, or is it very much in your guys' hands? Like I'm just.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing the question is if you were to define sort of a custom event or value that you thought was important to providing the maximum value in your game, would we be able to handle that?
Yeah.
That is something that we're currently doing development around. We don't have a timeline for when we'll release that. The SDK that's currently out there does not target towards that, but we recognize that that's an important long-term solution that needs to be provided for developers, so they can not only give us additional endpoints that tell us they're important, but we can also shift the system to target and maybe optimize directly towards those goals rather than a different goal than the system might have.
All right, perfect, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Just a question in terms of time. Are you optimizing for 360-day LTV, 180-day, 90-day? Good question.
So right now it optimizes towards all of those. So the way we fix towards that is we are looking at LTV into infinity. And so it basically looks at what's the best choice available. And so ultimately you'll see the best results for all those time frames.
All right, any more questions? How are we doing on time? We're good? All right. Well, thanks very much. Now, Maxine. You have survey cards on your chairs. Please fill them out. Sign up for our betas. Join us for the product discussions today. And we appreciate you coming by.